All right, welcome. It is high noon on Wednesday, September 7th. As you can see on the board, can everyone see the agenda for today? I'm still getting used to these tools, and we are no longer in Blackboard Collaborate, which was really clunky and awkward and took a long time for the recording to get processed and whatnot. Just a little bit about before we get started. I'm going to talk at you. The chat feature is enabled, so if you have any questions, please type it in the box, and you can control whether that's going to everyone or me privately. If it is class related, do make it so that everyone can see it. I have just the default setting for Zoom, which is the platform that we're in, as you realize, is a cloud conferencing app, and it's great. It's user easy. It's portable. The apps are very user friendly. It has a lot of great benefits, one of which is that the default setting is video conferencing, which we don't really need. We could use video conferencing if we're screen sharing with each other in a conferencing setting, which we would still be coming to this room at an appointed time for an office hour kind of setting, and we can use that. But right now I've changed that default setting, and I have video sharing disabled. So I might pop on my video every once in a while, but mostly I'll be screen sharing. So can I just get someone to confirm that they can see the online agenda for today? In the chat box. The Collaborate did have a much easier raising hand, polling kind of thing. Thank you, Blake. I need an amen every once in a while, some sort of an affirmation as I'm sitting here in my headset talking to a computer screen, and at least I like to be able to see the initials and the occasional interaction. Just for attention span, I always try to aim for a 20-minute lecture. I'll always stop if there's less. Sometimes they might be 30, depending on how much we have to accomplish. Sometimes we'll be working on a long project, and there will be no Wednesday lecture. We'll have office hours or an optional attendance, and there won't be anything recorded or formal that you'll need to listen to or review. So welcome today. I know that you can see the agenda, and I'm going to alter my screen sharing in a moment to talk about and go over the actual prompt for the blog. So hopefully everyone was able to complete the journal I sent you, and we'll just start today by revisiting my Monday memo that I sent you. I'm sending it as an email. When there's nothing major due on Wednesday, I will post it as an announcement so that it stays visible through Wednesday noon, and every time you log on to Blackboard in the course, you would see it, as well as sending it to your email inbox when there is something due. So for example, the blog that we're talking about today is due next Wednesday and due in 1 week. On Wednesday the 14th, you need to have it posted by noon on the blog feature, and we will go over those tools, that prompt, and some of the nuances and expectations for grading today in class. So you have 1 week to complete the next assignment. On Monday afternoon, when I memo you, I will post it as an announcement reminding you that you have a due date worth 10% of your course grade on Wednesday. So you can expect lectures every Wednesday, journals due Sunday at midnight that you're independently responsible for, and then you'll hear from me presumably once a week, that I won't have to email you follow-ups or, like I said, stalk your inbox or hound you or anything, because I don't really want the class to go like that. I want us to have a rhythm and for you to be mostly autonomous and independent, but guided by me. All right, so let's start off this this little mini lecture on the blog by talking about the rhetorical situation. And the rhetorical situation, there's an entire, if you haven't yet accessed it, if you are on your computer, one thing you could do to prepare for class today would be to go to Blackboard and access under blog. Let me stop sharing and go to that. All right, let me share screen and let me share my whole desktop. All right, so you should be able to see my whole desktop right now, and I am going over to Blackboard. So in Blackboard, under blog, module 1, all the tools that you'll need this week are here. You can see the prompt, which we're going to go over today. The introduce yourself, when you actually, we go over some tools. This is how you will submit. You will click on this link and click and follow the directions to create blog entry. And all the resources that you'll need are in this folder this week, including the sample that you are reading for today, my model as to what you're doing in this blog, which is introducing yourself by telling a story and connecting it to a larger theme that's meaningful to an audience, which our audience in a rhetorical situation for this is our community. The other 29 people that are in your section with you are the people who will be able to read this blog as well as comment on it, and who we're trying to create a kind of community with. Your workshop checklist is a preview of the grading, all the minimum requirements that you need to meet. We'll do a little bit of brainstorming today, and I'll ask you in class on the chat board if you give me your preliminary ideas for what you think you might write about, what your interesting story is. And then for your perusal, I have put on here an example of a student that got a 100 on this blog. Very creative, well written, hits all the minimum requirements plus more, and she has a clear story with connecting to a larger theme. So that is part of what we're doing. Let me flip over to the prompt as we talk about the rhetorical situation and blow this baby up. All right. So our rhetorical situation is each other. Right? If I haven't told you before yet, hold on, let me see if I can make sure that I can't see my chat screen right now, so let me just pull it up to make sure no one's asking me questions. Okay, I want to be able to have that visible. All right, so if I haven't told you this yet, which I probably didn't tell you last week, one of the themes, maybe I did, you can tell me if I did, one of the themes I'm focusing on this semester that is a real world skill that supposedly 305 prepares you in some way for life beyond the university, if you read that in the syllabus, is the ability to tell stories. And the blog, our first storytelling, is probably the closest to the natural kind of talking that you might do. You can curse for dramatic effect on occasion. You can't have a blog riddled with the F word, would probably be inappropriate, but a dramatic hell or damn, or something that represents how you might talk over a beer to a friend telling a story. The blog is appropriate, right? Bloggers, the tone is informal, it's conversational, you're introducing yourself to your peers, right? You're not telling a story to get a job, although our theme of storytelling in this class will be echoed in reflecting in a memoir. It'll be echoed in telling a story about a current event, topic, person that you are reporting on will be another instance of storytelling. Even a one-sentence anecdote that helps your writing come to life in a cover letter that you can't encompass on your resume will be something that we're working on. So part of the theme of what real-world skills you need to have to sell yourself and to affect others' emotions and be persuasive and compelling as a writer and a speaker is storytelling. So here, the first incarnation of that as our rhetorical situation for the blog is tell a story about yourself, right? Your audience is your fellow classmates. We want to create a venue that acts as a class as opposed to a disconnected room full of strangers online. So the learning outcomes for this is to write a description of yourself to provide a vehicle for others in the class community to know who you are. So here's what your profile must include. And you'll notice what is underlined. You have to, in a way, we don't need an artificial, hi, my name is, here's my major, here's how old I am, here's what I love to do, right? Bypass all of that stuff. What we want is a story, one good story. You have 750 to 1,000 words to create this story. It's going to be single-spaced. You're going to post it on the blog site. We want to get to know you, but we want you to pick maybe some aspect of your life that is important to you that will illuminate who you are by how you tell the story and what your larger theme is that you connect to, that's important to you. So for example, if you read in preparation for today, my blog post is about my friend Bob, who died last summer, and how I binge watched The Good Wife as a way to process my grief and kind of get past the shock of his death. My larger theme that I'm connecting to is this theme of contradictions, right? I'm a writing professor that's advocating television watching, this passive activity. I didn't expect to use the good wife and this strange character named Will Gardner dying as a way to kind of help me figure out and process the grief of my friend Bob Fraser dying, but that's how it happened. And I like complexity. I like the unexpected. I like contradiction. I like tragedy and crying, and yet here, confronted with my own tragedy, I couldn't really do what I was supposed to do. So my larger theme is that kind of contradictory nature that maybe we all have. So you might not have had a friend die. You might not have ever seen The Good Wife, but you can probably relate to being moved by a television show or having a kind of loss and not being able to deal with it, and how there is a contradictory nature in that experience. So that was my larger theme in my story. So that's part of your goal, right? I don't just want you to rattle off all your accomplishments or anything like that. When you write your story, I want an actual story, a personal story that connects to a larger theme of who you are as a person, right? So here's a lot of that's the requirements for the text. The photo requirement, and here are the instructions. We're not going to go over all of this. This is, you can access this on your own. It has all of the instructions on how to post a photo, how to click on the toolbar with the little landscape photo, and I'm going to show you those nuances in the blog in just a minute. But everyone has to have at least one photo, and you can have up to 3 photos. You can put them anywhere you want. It can be a photo of you. It can be a photo of something else. The photos can be funny. They can be serious. They can be memes. What's congruous with your personality and tone, right? That's how, if you're very straightforward and you want to show your family photo, if you're an adventurer and you want to show a photo of your feet dangling over a cliff, it doesn't matter. Whatever represents your content and your personality should dictate your photos. So 1 to 3 photos. Incorporate in the blog, and you must provide a minimum of 3 hyperlinks that are properly formatted. And here are the instructions on how to format those. Part of this class in online learning is using and mastering digital tools. So I can tell you that I suggest everyone write this in Microsoft Word or whatever it is that you use. And if you format your hyperlinks in Microsoft Word and you cut and paste them into blog, it will format properly. The only thing that won't cut and paste over are photos. You actually have to upload those as individuals using the photo tool in blog. Right? But if you already know how to format hyperlinks so that what is underlined in blue is text that's not the full URL, then that's a properly formatted hyperlink. The links that you provide can be incorporated into the narrative, right? Or they can be set apart at the bottom with an explanation of why they're important to you. They can be, one of my links to my Instagram page. My Instagram is public, so anybody can see it. A deduction and an improperly formatted link would be linking to something that's password protected, right? Anything that requires a login. If your platform is not public, then it would not be a good link, right? So you can, link to the website that sucks away all your time, or your favorite place to shop, or the SDSU organization that you're affiliated with. It's totally up to you what the content is of your story and what appropriate websites you include in that. So 750 to 1,000 words, 1 to 3 photos, minimum of 3 websites that are properly formatted with the URLs that work. And here is a list on how to submit it, which I'm going to show you how to use the blog tools in just a moment, and the grading criteria. Right? So you do not attach a file. You absolutely must use the blog tool to copy and paste and to format your photos. You can actually play with the fonts, the colors, the sizes. You can design it as you would want to. This blog is due next Wednesday at 12 noon, and it's an introductory piece of writing. I'm not grading it hard. I'm looking for you to meet these minimum requirements. For you, the hardest part that's going to be is making sure that your theme is clear, right? Making sure that the story that you've told connects to some way for your audience to access it, even though they haven't had those experiences yet. So here's the grading criteria. Right, needs to be well written, free of errors. The emphasis is on personal. You're going to be using first-person I statements. The content should be informative and be value added. It should have an appropriate style and tone. That tone can be conversational. You can ask questions. It can be playful. It can be sarcastic. Right? This is you writing to your peers, introducing yourself and telling a story about your life. Any questions about the requirements or the prompt before I go over and actually show you how to use the blog tool? I'm going to move on and see if anyone writes in the chat box. And as you can see, I'm actually going out of order and going to the blog before we brainstorm as you're thinking about what might make a good story. All right, so under Module 1 blog, everyone is going to, I see a question I'll get to in just a second, Allie. Everyone's going to click on the assignment link. And when you get in here, you are going to have create blog entry, as you can see right here where my mouse is. And when you create it, it will bring up a page that looks like so. And I'm actually going to, I have the settings set so that you can edit it anytime, as many times as you want. And the way that you edit it is you use the pull down menu and you go to edit. So here's what it looks like when you say create blog entry. Your title, everyone's going to have a creative title, but everyone's title is standardized. So your title is going to be your first name and your last name, or whatever you go by, nickname, right? First name, last name, and then you're going to put your creative title in quotation marks. Right, so here's your text box where you're going to copy and paste, right? You can see that my blog is completely over. I have 1,194 words. That's fine. 750 to 1,000 is a good range. If you're over, that's fine. Under 750 is a problem. Right, and so you can see that I have formatted it, and you'll notice that right here, this little chain insert edit link is not highlighted. Right, if I go down and I see here's my underline, let me look at, right, Beloved Days Together in New Orleans. The way that you get the link to insert is you highlight any text, and when you highlight any text, you'll have the opportunity to click this insert and edit. When you click on insert edit, it will open up a new window where you can, from a tab, cut and paste in your link, and then down here under title is what you will write in order to have it be not the URL, but you'll type the word in your text or the title of the website that you want to include. So you can notice that you have the option to cancel or update. I've already formatted, so I'm going to cancel, right? But that is how you create the links. Let me show you how to use the photo tool. As you'll notice from all these tools that you probably recognize, you can insert video, you can attach a file, which you don't really need to. You can play with the colors and the sizes. Right here is the little insert edit image. So down here, I have my picture that I got from Google of Will and Alicia from The Good Wife. So I highlight it because I'm editing, but if you wanted to insert it, you just put the cursor wherever you want the photo to be, and then you'll click Insert Edit Image, and it once again brings you to a tool. You would browse your computer where you would upload your JPEG file, and after it's in here, under Appearance, I can actually change the size constraints. For example, this picture was originally 600 by 300, so I've shrunk it in size. So for example, if I were to go back and change it to 200, you can see that when I click on it, it automatically keeps the size constraints and auto formats so that it doesn't mess up and stretch or make, look ridiculous, the photo. So 300 by 150 is fine. And let me get my thing. I'm going to hit cancel. I would hit update if I want to change the size of it. You can change the size of it. That's how you edit it. I can guarantee you right now that almost everybody is going to have to edit their blog because when you cut and paste something in, it automatically double spaces in between paragraphs. And you do want it single spaced. Right, so when you create this for the first time, it's going to give you the option to save as draft or post entry. It doesn't really matter. You can post it and see how it looks either way. Just make sure it's publicly posted to complete the assignment by next Wednesday at noon. And it will look like so, right? So you'll see that I had to go in and actually override the spacing so that it isn't double spaced in between paragraphs. I want to point out a couple things in advance of next week. When you post next week, one of your first collateral assignment for this class starting next week is I think you have, let's see, 1 week to comment on 5 peers' blogs. And the way that you would do that is just click the comment button. You can cross-talk to each other. You can pick which 5 you want to comment on. You can read through all of them and figure out who you have something to say to, who you might know, who has your major. And the way that you're going to do that is right here when you're in the blog. As you can see right now, we have 1 blog. James Park has already posted. It hasn't been graded yet, but right now, here's all the people in the class. Right? In your class, might be a different section, But how you get to those is from your homepage in blog. You're going to click these toggle left and right entries, and you'll be able to click through. Let's see if I can actually annotate this, and let's see what happens when I draw. Right? Look at that, right? So here's the tool that you will use to move through and view the blogs of the people in your class. So you will have 29 other blogs to choose from, and 5 you need to comment on in a whatever way is natural to you. If it's encouraging, if it's a connection, if it's a hey dude, whatever. I know that bar you're talking about. It doesn't matter. It's an engagement, so that you will see that your blog was not out to the ether, that someone actually read it. All right, so those are the major tools that you need to be aware of under blog. And I have a question now. So my next question to you, which you need to be thinking about while we work, is what are your initial ideas for what your story might be about? We're going to do like a 30-second brainstorming session where I'm going to go over some ways to think about this. And those of you that are in the room, I actually am going to ask you to just share what you think your preliminary story might be about, right? Or your topic, or some aspect of your identity that you want to share about. So the question right now on the chat room is, are there any topics that are off limits? And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that if you think it's appropriate and you feel like you can share it, it doesn't matter whether it's wild drunken night and you're a partier. If that's who you are and that's what you want your story or blog about, if you are struggling with an issue, I've had lots of students that have written about very discrete topics like anxiety, or a traumatic event that's happened to them. You just have to feel comfortable in the rhetorical situation, realizing that 29 SDSU students that you probably never met are reading it. So I would say that is what dictates your appropriateness of what you write about. There's no judgment. I'm not going to relay your stories. I will tell you that everything stays within the safe space of the classroom. There is one caveat, and I mention this just so it's on the record, because I guess it needs to be said. The only way that I will not lie for you. My mother growing up used to say, I will not lie for you, but I will visit you in jail. And it actually happened in the case of my brother. Got a DUI in Lake Tahoe, and she drove all the way to Nevada to visit him and did not bail him out. So terrible. Anyway, this was forever ago. And I have adopted that in the sense that every once in a while I have a student who is in the criminal justice field or wants an internship with the Secret Service, or I have to vouch, or they put me down as a reference for a professor who either offers a recommendation, where of course I wouldn't tell your secrets or anything like that. But if you are ever going to need a security clearance, I've actually had you sign away your rights. And if that Secret Service officer or the FBI has been known to come to my office and ask me for information about a student who wants to advance in the political sphere, and I've had to share their papers with them. So they're like, can you please give me everything that so-and-so wrote? And if that's the case, like I said, I won't lie for you. So should you write about something like an indiscretion or hitting the bong or whatever, that's fine for our class. It doesn't matter to me what you write about, but if you're thinking ahead, if this is ever going to be a part of your life that you might need to have, played it close to the vest and been discreet, don't write about anything if it might interfere with a future security clearance, so to speak. So, Allie, that's a long way of saying, no, there's no off-limits topic, but that is how I view what happens in the course. So it's for us. It's between the 31 of us, 30 students and me. I don't think there's anything that would be too scary to share. If you're inclined to write about it, I say go for it. Writing can be so therapeutic. And, this isn't just a fluffy introductory piece of writing. It's your first chance at storytelling for an online audience. So hopefully that answers your question. Where we're going to end up today, if I find out if there's any questions or Q&A that you might have, if there's anything that is hitting you, I am actually going to ask you really quick to to do some brainstorming. All right, for those of you who are in the room, let me actually share a little differently and share just this document. So here's the document for you. And I can still see the chat box, but this way it doesn't overlap from all the windows I have open on my desktop. I don't want anything to be not visible for you. All right, so here's a quick brainstorming. All right, as I read through these in your mind, if you have a sheet of paper, if you're prepared in class today to just do like a minute worth of brainstorming, you know, in brainstorming, there's no such thing as a bad idea. I'm going to ask you in the room, those of you who are here, to kind of share what your preliminary ideas are. So I think that one of the easiest ways to think about this is to think about what you would use to describe yourself when you use the word passion. What are you passionate about? Think about everything that's your favorites, things that you love, things that you're loyal to, right? What causes do you advocate for? What's your favorite, you know, vacation destination? Who's the best person in your life, your greatest friendship, right? If you take a second to write down everything that you're passionate about, people, places, favorites, things, brands, objects, right? That might generate a good topic for your blog. Another way you can think about this are what are your best accomplishments? Not your accomplishments in the eyes of the world or the eyes of your parents, but what things in your life are you truly proud of? Right? Maybe you have a long-term relationship, or maybe you have something that you fought to overcome in your personal life, or maybe you finally figured out how to let go of a toxic friend or something. That might be a story that shows a lesson that you learned or a theme that an audience might relate to that lets us know who you are. That could be a good topic. If you think about just what's been on your mind lately, what you're preoccupied with, what you lose sleep over, what you've been contemplating, whether it's about the universe or about society or about the nature of identity, or who knows, deep ideas, things you could grapple with that you could show us, that might be a good topic for a blog. Interesting things that have happened in your life. You know, I have written a lot about Hurricane Katrina. I have been a part of America's worst, most tragic natural disaster. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we both lost houses in Hurricane Katrina, lost our jobs, lost the city, lost our identities, our community. Got over it, but it's definitely something that is a unique perspective or unique thing that happened to me that not many, you know, that there's a small demographic that have had X happen to them. So if you've ever had anything interesting, an event, a phenomenon, a childhood injury, a tragedy, a miracle, or who knows, happen in your life, that could be something that could be worth writing about. And finally, you guys have heard of that saying, something that you had to learn the hard way. You know, like Taryn, you had to learn that the hard way. If you think about what kind of lessons you've learned in life or in college or recently, right, something that's maybe been an intense lesson that you've learned, circumstances you've experienced, that could also make for a good blog topic, right? What inspirational, intense, or interesting lessons or circumstances have you experienced recently? It could have been a fluke. For example, this week I've actually had a student cry every day. I probably could write about that. You know, could be something, a weird, unusual thing, or it could be phenomenal. You know, my favorite city right now, my favorite European destination is Amsterdam. I could explore why I love Amsterdam, why it speaks to me, why I can't get enough of the pancakes. I dream about Dutch pancakes. It's up to you, right? Thinking about a good topic. So for those of us that are in the room, there are 7 of us, 6 students and me. You all have access to the chat room. My directive is please type in the chat room and share your preliminary blog idea. All right, there you go. So, who's got an idea? What might you write about? What would make a good story? What unique experience do you have? I wrote about TV watching. That is really, really, really not very ambitious. I have one student who says journey to the US. And seriously, even if we've never experienced a foreign culture or immigrated anywhere, all of us, a universal theme in literature and life is the notion of a journey, right? About obstacles, about setbacks, right? Something that's a cool thing that you've done. I see someone else saying being on a sports team at SDSU, cool. Another student is saying going backpacking. Gosh, that's a dream of every college student, right? For the past 50 years, hasn't that been one of the goals, is to go just get lost, right? You can include that great Tolkien quote about wandering, thinking about how you'll contextualize this experience for others to understand something about you. I have another student who says becoming a mom. Oh my goodness, that sounds, of course, many of us aren't parents, but we sure want to know what it's like for real, the highs, the lows. Did you fall in love at first sight, like they say? Are you getting any sleep, right? All the things that we would want to know. I have another student here talking about maybe studying abroad or being in the military, or just the nature of experiencing fun. All of those things could make good topics. You're going to have to buckle down and just decide. My tip is to start drafting, thinking about your central story, right? Is it going to be one story? Is it going to be a snippet of like 3 shorter anecdotes? Is it going to be a long developed dramatic story? And as you tell it, are you going to jump around and interweave different ideas, or are you just going to straight tell it chronological order? Don't worry about your theme on your first draft. Just sit down, start to write your story, and then step back and think, what is the larger theme that I'm trying to prove? What does this mean? So for example, the student example on Blackboard that I wrote, or that I shared with you, that I had permission to share as a student example, that student earned 100. And I share it with you because it's a really darn good example of writing. And if you had asked me, like, she wrote her topic on being an online gamer. I can just tell you right now that that is one of the last topics in the world that I would personally ever care about, but it is so well done. It doesn't matter whether I understand what she's telling me about online gaming. She did it in a way that everybody can understand. Her larger theme is the split between having an online life and an offline life, which we can all relate to, whether it's how we portray our lives on Instagram, or how we share on social media, or what takes up most of our time versus how we act in the real world. All of us can relate to that theme, even if I have never played. Her game was RuneScape. So I totally encourage you to go access the student example of a perfect online A for the blog, and look at what you can learn about storytelling and connecting to that larger theme. So I'm going to scroll back up to our agenda and see if there are any questions, anything unclear, any materials, resources. You have the prompt that breaks down all the requirements. There is a document on Blackboard called Blog Checklist, which it tells you in your homework to make sure to use the checklist to make sure you've hit all the requirements for this first 10%. I'm available via email. If you are struggling for an idea, or you're not sure if it's appropriate, or you want to shoot me an email, please do. If you have questions or you want to run something by me, I can't pre-read everyone's blogs because that's not a service I can provide to everybody. But if you have questions specifically about a passage or a topic, I'm more than welcome and will respond very promptly. So I don't see anybody typing any questions, but I see some good ideas, some preliminary good brainstorming, and now your first goal is to test it, to try to write the story and see if it works, and if it doesn't, abandon it and go to the next topic, or push it and see if you can produce a story that you're willing to share with everybody online, our 30 people. All right, I will not hold you beyond beyond the time that is appropriate. Let me check our participants list and see who's here. No one has any questions. Everyone's video is muted. And all right, I'm going to end the lecture and kick you all out of the room and sign off because I don't see any questions. And if you do have questions this week, go ahead and let me know. Don't forget, as always, journals are due on Sunday. These blogs are not going to be workshopped. They are posted right away. So you are independently responsible for meeting this assignment and posting it by next Wednesday. I will send you that Monday memo reminder. All right, everybody, enjoy your week, and I will see you in the room online later.